Tonight, 9 days to shut down as organized labor directs all public sector workers to stay at home indefinitely as it declares a nationwide strike over government failure to declare state of emergency over Galamsey.
Organized labor has decided to declare a nationwide strike with effect from October 10th, 2024. We are therefore calling on all workers to stay at home starting Thursday, October 10, 2024.
But will the private sector join the strike in solidarity against illegal mining? And Top Story is always brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies and also Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Brace yourselves for a nationwide shutdown. They backed, warned, and threatened. Tonight, organized labor is set to bite hard. In the last couple of hours, led by the Trades Union Congress, labor has directed all public sector workers to stay at home indefinitely as it declares a nationwide strike over government failure to declare a state of emergency over Galamsey. The strike will kick in 9 days on the 10th of October. My colleague Blaise Soga just returned from this emergency organized labor meeting that was called after government failed to meet its 30th September deadline. It gave it to meet 5 demands. And Blaise, which groups were there today taking this decision?
So this group is known as the Trade Union Congress. It's deemed as the mother union of all organized groups within the country. So by far, we're talking about the largest grouping of worker unions in Ghana. The meeting commenced earlier this morning with some informal engagements, a reason for which the press was not granted access to this high-level meeting that was happening amongst leadership of the organized labor. But then, somewhere around midday, it was clear that organized labor was going to proceed with the ultimatum that they had given government. A couple of days back, organized labor issued a statement calling for, quote, a declaration of an emergency, a state of emergency, as they would call it, asking government then to fulfill about 3 other demands that they had tabled, including the need to revoke the LI 2642, I beg your pardon, which talks about mining in all forest reserves. For organized labor, the basic demand they have is that all mining equipment ought to be moved away from water bodies, first of all, and then the next step is to also seize all forms of mining within forest reserves. So whether legal or illegal, once you're a small mining operator within a forest reserve or a biodiversity hotspot, they believe that the government ought to halt all of these activities. And it is basically the reason for which they are proceeding further to ask for revocation of the LI 2462, which various groupings across the country have been raising concerns with. The LI actually is 2462, and Evans, you recall that civil society groups a couple of days back raised concerns about how this law was giving excessive powers to the president to single-handedly give authorization for mining to proceed in biodiversity hotspots and forest reserves. So organized labor then feels that based on what the recommendations of the group was, first of all, to halt mining in all of the forest reserves, we must proceed further as a country to halt also mining, both legal or illegal, in forest reserves. And that's why the meeting then concluded today that after a cursory assessment of all of the demands that were tabled, government had failed to meet the requirements of all the demands that organized labor had put on the table. So the Secretary General of the group, Joshua Ansah, then proceeded to announce the outcome of the meeting today, which is for organized labor to take the next step.
Following the expiration of our deadline and the failure of government to meet our demands on illegal mining, that is what I'm saying, organized labor has decided to declare a nationwide strike with effect from October 10th, 2024. We are therefore calling on all workers to stay at home starting Thursday, October 10, 2024, until government accedes to our demands.
And that there is the Secretary General of the TUC at this particular meeting announcing the indefinite strike. This will be on the 10th of October. So we actually have 9 days to go because it's starting from today. And they want all of us to embark on this strike. Now, the question we need to clarify, though, we know that before today, the private sector had said they will join. Particularly, we've seen the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, made up of media houses, the GJA itself. Was there any clarity on how that will be implemented with the private sector? Were they even there today in solidarity?
In fact, I must point out that the reason for which organized labor, in fact, delayed in making that emphatic pronouncement that they were proceeding on a nationwide strike was basically because of the divisions that were picked up within the groupings. Present was almost all the labor unions. You know that even those in the private sector working, even in the mining sector as well, most of which have private representation, they were present there at the meeting. But there was a division because some of the members of the group were unable to tell if these were largely from the private sector, were raising some initial concerns about going on a full-scale nationwide strike. But it appears that there were others, who felt that this was the time for organized labor to proceed. Notable faces were there. Professor Ransford Jampo, obviously representing, I believe, the interest of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. We had the Public Sector Workers Union. You had almost all the groupings there that were represented. And it is instructive to note that even the leadership of the civil and local government workers, CLOCSAC, they were also represented, which means that technically almost all public sector workers, because CLOCSAC represents workers in almost all of the districts across the country, they will be involved in this action. And in fact, they were well represented by their leader, Mr. Isaac Bampo, who of course I saw in the meeting there. So it appears that this will be a full-scale activity, irrespective of the emerging concerns that this must be a scaled down or perhaps a progressive approach towards implementing this industrial action. But as the majority groupings will have it within the broader spectrum of organized labor. It has been resolved, whether you like it or not, that almost all workers in Ghana in 9 days will be laying down their tools simply because they feel the assessment is that government has not done much to tackle the menace of illegal mining.
Blessed, thank you very much. I want to bring in right now Professor Mahmood Adakrugu, who is the UTAC National President. Professor Mahmood, thanks for your time here on Top Story. Also joining me is Dr. Kwabena Nyako. Otu is the Director of Research at the TUC. Dr. Ken Ashigbe is a convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, also joining us right now. Prof. Mahmood, let me start with you. You've gone straight for a nationwide strike. Normally, in organized labor terms, when you're dealing with industrial actions, you give us a roadmap. That possibly will begin with wearing of red armbands, possibly protest. Strikes are always the last option. Why the last option, now the first option?
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to comrades who are on this call, and good evening to your listeners. Well, this is a matter of existence, and so when your life is threatened, you don't go around beating about the bush. You go straight to whatever action that you have to take to save your life, and that is what we've done.
And this will reflect on the 10th of October. Why 10th of October? Why not tomorrow?
Well, the reason is that we needed to at least give ourselves some time to get ourselves properly in place, and then some of the associations and unions also within organized labor have some other internal requirements to meet. And so we needed to give ourselves that time to be able to meet those requirements, and then we move on. That's why we didn't go immediate, but give ourselves some days to be able to scale through all those requirements.
Let me bring in your colleague, Dr. Kwabananya Kotu, is the Director of Research at the TUC. Doctor, it's safe to say that you gave yourself up until the 10th of October to strike because you're hoping that in intervening period, government may act to avert the strike?
Okay, so the principal reason why we gave this has something to do with what my colleague just mentioned. Some of our unions and some of our workers have internal requirements they have to meet. And I mean, if you look at the law itself, to strike, you need to give at least a 7-day notice. So it's not merely because you want to give government time, because we had given government time already. Since the last time we issued a statement in which we gave a deadline of 30th September, government has had enough time to be able to respond. So this period is merely to allow our members go through their internal processes and also prepare ourselves in terms of communication, information, and everything to be able to embark on a successful strike.
So that's primarily why you're embarking on this. This is unprecedented, is it not? Because, yes, organized labor, you embark on strikes in the past, but it always has to do with workers' direct welfare issues, salaries, conditions of service. Is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time you're seeing organized labor take on a subject like this and proceeding on a strike on a national issue like Galamsey?
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, as you may have also seen over the years, organized labor has not shied away from national issues that are of concern to every Ghanaian. And remember that when we talk about organized labor, we are talking about workers and their families. And as long as an issue concerns workers and their families, it's an issue for organized labor. Of course, the nature of this issue is that it's also an issue for every Ghanaian. So as we undertake this industrial action, we are also appealing to all Ghanaians, all well-meaning Ghanaians, to support organized labor, to bring pressure to bear on duty bearers, to be able to do what they have to do to arrest this phenomenon once and for all.
I hear you saying that you want all Ghanaians, private, public sector, to join you on the 10th of October to withdraw services across the country.
Yes, I mean, the communique is clear that we are embarking on a nationwide strike, and it didn't specify any group of workers that will do the strike. All workers are being called upon to lay down their tools.
On that note, stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Ken Ashigbe. He's the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Are you also embarking on that strike on the 10th of October, Dr. Ashigbe?
Well, thank you very much, Evans. And today could not be a good day, a better day than today. We organized labor as part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. So on that day when we had our press conference, where organized labor also held their press conference, one of their leaders was sent to our press conference to come and announce the request from government, which was almost the same as what the Media Coalition was asking for. And it was at that event that we backed the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. So, yes, we're just waiting for this meeting. And so now that the meeting has been had, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey is in full support of the stance of organized labor. And we're going to rally the whole of Ghana. And we, the media, will have to find ways in which we still provide oxygen for the strike and still do the mobilization whilst we are still also able to embark on the industrial action that we're talking about. So definitely this is something that we're going to do. We are desperate people, Evans. We're people who are being poisoned. We're people who are being deprived of water. We're people whose cocoa is under threat. We're people who currently have renal diseases worrying us. We're people whose sexual reproductive systems are under attack. So desperate people take desperate actions. And so definitely the leadership has been demonstrated by organized labor. We're going to be mobilizing all the 10 blocks of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey to really push this particular one so that government will realize the fact that we are the sovereign. We are the sovereign. And we're taking a cue from what the President, His Excellency the President, said on the 7th of January 2017. We are citizens and not spectators. And this particular action, as is directed as the current government to take action, when organized labor met the interministerial committee, they added another demand, which was originally in the demands of the media coalition, asking the two political parties, the NDC and the MPP, to also commit themselves to these actions that we are asking the president to do. We don't want a situation where any politician would want to take advantage of this particular action for their parochial partisan interest. We also do not want any politicians coming into the open and telling us that they are in support of this action, but then they will go into the pit and then go and be telling people other things. So we would require of the NDC and MPP especially to their presidential candidate to openly sign up to this particular action that organized labor and the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey are asking the president to do, a state of emergency over our water bodies and the buffers, and the state of emergency in the forest reserves, and then a revocation of LI 2462.
So on the 10th of October, I expect Dr. Ashigbe's telecoms chambers offices to be locked indefinitely.
Definitely. So definitely we're going to be appealing to all the private. So you see, the point to note is that if the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey has businesses also as part of it. So definitely we also are suffering. It's something that affects our. So the chamber will take a decision, once this has happened, to also definitely join this because it affects all of us. Some of our masts and all of that are under threat.
So safe to say that the chamber hasn't yet taken a decision to join the strike.
So definitely, the chamber would have to, based on this decision of the Ghana Coalition, all the professional bodies who are involved in this, including the chamber, would have to take that particular decision. Because it is not something that only the public unions are going to do.
So everybody
would have to be involved.
Including
even the media.
Yes, it isn't automatic, is it, that all private sector groups that had previously expressed support for this will automatically go on strike because the decision does not lie with individuals who have been speaking. I believe it doesn't even lie with you alone to make the decision to go on strike or not at the chamber.
No, so again, I just asked you, had Labour, you saw what Labour did today. Labour had to have a meeting with its organs to be able to get this to happen. And definitely this is a good call. So I'm pretty sure that various businesses would have to also engage their ranks and files and then through that process be able to take that decision to definitely join this particular action that is being taken. Because as I said, this is a desperate people who have to save themselves from being poisoned, from being killed. So definitely all businesses, including, the chamber I work for, and all of that, will have to consider this particular action and also, subscribe to this. And that's definitely one of the things that we will be doing. I can tell you for a fact, that the Presby Church has asked their congregation to start wearing red bands. I can tell you that there are other major religious bodies that are also mobilizing. Some of them have planned even on the 11th, a day after organized labor embarks on the strike, to also have a prayer protest, that would culminate in presentation of petitions and also calling on God to act. We are engaging the chief imam so that we also can get, support from that side. We are going to be engaging the traditional elements that are the various chambers that are amongst all of us. And so this is something that is in the national interest, that all of us have to mobilize, to make sure that in support of the action that has been started by organized labor, we all mobilize and make sure that the right thing is done. It's about saving ourselves today and tomorrow.
This is you are a convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey illegal mining. How do you expect the media to carry out this strike?
So on when the day we had our press conference, I remember when the president of the GJA was reading our statement, we had talked about what we were also going to do. The fortunate thing is that on last week Friday, the GJA had an EGM, where an emergency general meeting. One of the issues that were considered was this issue of Galamsey. And the EGM gave the National Council the mandate to be able to take action. So we will be looking at more modes in which, as media, we will be able to give oxygen to the strike, be able to serve as a forum to mobilize all workers to engage on the strike, whilst we still are able to take some action ourselves. And some of it could include, a selective blackout on some element of the state, that we don't cover some of the things that some of the states will do. So those are conversations that the Media Coalition and its component members, the GJ, Primpag, Giba, would all have to take to say, how are we going to do it? For the first point is that on Saturday, the president of the GJ asked all media houses to use the hashtag Stop Galamsey Now, and that you're already seeing that happening. You, multimedia, TTFM, all of you have kept the pressure on. And this is what, this morning, for example, all media houses had the pressure on Labour as well. And we see the outcome of what it's become. So for us in the media, from now up to, the 10th, the first thing we definitely need to be doing is provide a lot of oxygen to the action that has been called by Labour. And Labour is not calling on only itself, it's calling on all Ghanaians. And so we need to mobilize every Ghanaian everywhere in the languages that we understand to show to these politicians, to show to our leaders that we really are asking for them to help stop the killing, the poisoning, the destruction of our water bodies. And let everybody know that this is something that as a country we are united on, and we all mean that this thing has to stop.
And if you're just joining us, a major developing story on the war against illegal mining, organized labor declaring an indefinite strike from the 10th of October. I still have with me Professor Mahmoud, who is the UTAC National President, and Dr. Kwabena Nyako Otu, Director of Research at the TUC. You just listened to Dr. Kenneth Shigbe, convener of the Media Coalition against Galamsey. Dr. Otu, let me come back to you. This is supposed to be an indefinite strike. Is that even realistic?
Okay, before I answer your question, the last time you spoke, I was the Director of Research. Now I'm the Deputy Secretary General.
Oh, Deputy Secretary General, of course. That's a promotion indeed, and congratulations.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand what you mean by being realistic. I mean, we have specific demands for the President, for government to meet. And this declaration of strike is until those demands are met. And if you ask whether it's realistic or not, I really don't understand what you mean.
So I asked that question because if you say indefinite and the government doesn't come through with the state of emergency, all workers in this country would have laid down their tools to eternity, in essence. It doesn't sound like realistic, is it?
So be it. Until our demands are met and until Galamsey is stopped, we lay down our tools.
Professor Mahmoud, you believe that this protocol that you're about to implement is realistic for UTAG, where university teachers across the country will be out of the classroom indefinitely?
Very realistic, in my estimation.
I mean, is it though? I mean, considering that of course, what you're fighting is a noble cause, and government obviously has shown over the last 3 weeks that they're not in the position or won't or refusing, if you like, because that really is what is happening, to impose a state of emergency. You expect that there will be unintended consequences, will there not? Because doctors will be on strike, nurses will be on strike, pilots will be on strike. Everybody's on strike. This nation will grind to a halt. The impact may be more than what we're feeling on the Galamsey sites. The law of unintended consequences.
That's correct. And it is hoped that those that are selected to lead us will think carefully about those unintended consequences and do the right thing before even the 9th, the 10th of October. Otherwise, sometimes if you have to treat a sore, you have to cause some pain. Otherwise, you don't be treated. So we are fully aware of the intended consequences that this action may cause us, but we also know the long-term consequences that the ongoing mining activities can cause.
Well,
we are better off taking the pain now on behalf of generations yet unborn. And that, we believe, far outweighs whatever the unintended consequences will be when we take this action from the 10th.
I mean, Dr. Otu, government still has 9 days. What would it take to avert this strike?
So, I mean, even before I respond to that, those unintended consequences you are talking about, we believe are the triggers that should push government to act. And our ultimate objective is a government intervention, a decisive intervention that lead to an end to Galamsey. In a manner everybody can declare in his or her mind that something is being done or has been done about Galamsey illegal mining activities, particularly those that take place in river bodies and also in our forest reserves. What could be done to avert the strike is simply government meeting us. And those demands are clearly spelled out in the statement we issued, in which we gave the 30th September deadline.
I mean, Dr. Ashibi, I know you've been trying. You've written to both leaders as far as the parties are concerned, hoping to get a response, a positive one, that they will pen their signatures to a document committing to end illegal mining. Have you heard anything back from any of them, John Mahama or Dr. Baumia?
No. As of now, we've not heard anything yet. Now that the declaration has been done, tonight, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we have a meeting tonight. So we'll be looking at all of that. And now that Labour has also declared that, and that is also one of the demands of Labour, we'll be working with Labour and everybody else to see what response we get. But it is important for the two political parties to note that the action that has been declared is also on their heads as well. They also have actions that they need to take. And so even when you talk about unintended consequences, what can be worse with when you are being systematically poisoned? What can be worse than when your water bodies are under threat? What can be worse? You think that the woman who responded to a nature's call and fell into a pit and died, or that young man from KNUST who had to now come back and defend his thesis died in the pit? You think that this strike is worse than that for him? Can anybody put any money to the lives that are being lost? So what we are fighting again, I tell you, we are desperate people who have been pushed and we are dying slowly. Some have gone ahead of us already. And if we don't stop this at this particular time, when tomorrow they are writing the history of the people who poisoned themselves to extinction, we also will be mentioned. And we will reject that. We will not. We will not allow that to happen. And we'll have to take all actions, as painful as it would be, to make sure that we can save ourselves from this.
And Dr. Ashibi, I want you to stay with me because shortly we'll be hearing from John Dramani Mahama. We'll also be hearing from Dr. Baumia's campaign team on what has happened tonight. I want to get your reaction to that. Stay with me on this. And if you're just joining us, a major developing story tonight, organized labor in an unprecedented move, declaring nationwide indefinite strike in 9 days. That will also include the private sector commitments already coming in for this. First time you've heard from the Deputy Secretary General of the TUC himself that they are taking this decision to embark on the nationwide strike on a subject such as Galamsey, an issue that doesn't have to do with conditions of service, salaries, or pay. You really want to stay with us for this because we'll be hearing shortly from John Dramani Mahama and from the campaign of the current Vice President and the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Still ahead though tonight.
Main opposition National Democratic Congress left standing alone with the PPP as 7 other political parties joined the governing MPP to back the Electoral Commission after it presented detailed evidence of the work it has done so far to clean the voters' register.
And we must admit that listening to them today, I'm convinced that they are doing their best.
As major stakeholders, we are happy.
I'm satisfied that at least the IT department had come today to give what I call the underlying IT management of the process.
This engagement alone will really bring confidence to the institution.
We have the latest as the NDC commends the EC but demands more, including a forensic audit of the EC's entire IT system.
And I commend the EC. As they fix them, they have promised to provide the updated version. Look at the register, fix the issues in there, and also audit the very IT systems that allowed these anomalies to occur.
What's next for the NDC plus the historic announcement by the EC chairperson on future IPAC meetings? Stay with us. We have all that coming up. Also, Education Ministry in a make or break meeting with striking teacher unions over non-payment of Tier 2 pension deductions. We have details as hundreds of teachers hit the streets to demand the resolution of unpaid arrears and salary disparities. And later, Ghana faces heightened risk of cocoa smuggling in Ivory Coast as it announces its latest farm gate prices of cocoa surpassing Ghana's rate by 20%. And in business,
let's still stay on the sector because government has rolled out series of measures seeking to compensate farmers that were affected by the recent dry spell that hit parts of the country.
And later in sports,
the Confederation of African Football expected to make a decision on the eligibility of the Accra and Cape Coast Stadium in the coming days ahead of next week's AFCON qualifier against Sudan.
Details of this and more coming up on Newsnight.
You want to stay with us for that and more, or here we'll be hearing from John Dramani Mahama pretty shortly on the Galamsey war. We've just heard tonight organized labor in conjunction with the private sector declaring an indefinite strike beginning in 9 days that will shut down this country. We'll also hear from the camp of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You don't want to go anywhere here on Newsnight.
Everybody likes money, but what do we like more than money? More money! Join the Telecel More Money promo and win money, more money, and even more money. Simply opt in for free and reload your mobile and broadband and be the lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis grand prize. Also win cash prizes of up to 3 million Ghana cedis in the daily and weekly draws. Opt in for free by dialing *500# or send WIN to 500, or you can opt in on the Telecel Play app. The more you reload, the higher chances of winning in the Telecel More Money promo. Keep loading, win, and be a millionaire.
Telecel. Connecting energies.
Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
And you're live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. And Fostina, are you bracing yourself just yet for this nationwide shutdown? It's in 9 days. Organized labor just declared it. on illegal mining. You know, they actually backed, they warned, they threatened, and there were many who thought, I mean, this is not realistic. They can't certainly embark on an indefinite strike. They just announced just that, and they are going to bite. Just in the last 30 minutes, we've been hearing from organized labor on this, and they are determined to embark on this course of action from the 10th of October. Between now and, of course, on the 10th, they are now going back to their respective unions to get a mandate for this to happen. One other demand they've added, the last time they met with the government ad hoc committee, interministerial committee, was to say they want both parties, the leadership of both parties, as in John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Bawumia, to sign a pact to say they will end illegal mining. Today, we've been hearing from John Dramani Mahama on this particular subject. You know, he's been meeting the clergy. They asked him a question on this. This was his response.
Small-scale mining is recognized by law and must be done in a manner that does not harm the environment. We'll audit all concessions, mining concessions that have been issued, and identify the beneficial owners of such concessions. The concession owners will be held responsible for any illegal mining that takes place within their concession. If illegal mining or galamsey takes place on your concession, that concession will be taken away from you. We will promote responsible mining and wage a war against illegal mining or galamsey. This will involve an aggressive program to reclaim our polluted water bodies, degraded lands, and our devastated forest reserves through a Tree for Life and Blue Water initiative. In this endeavor, we shall ban the granting of new mining leases and activities in our forest reserves. And we shall amend the minerals and mining law to impose stiffer punishments on people who mine in water bodies. Under my government, all appointees will be prohibited from engaging in legal or illegal mining. If you want to mine, go and mine. You can't serve in government and mine at the same time.
Thankfully, joining me right now is Dennis Miracles Obwaje, is the Director of Communications with the Dr. Bawumia campaign. Thank you, Miracles, for your time here on Newsnight. Give me your reaction tonight. I mean, your man, Dr. Bawumia, is still the Vice President. Tonight, Organized Labour has declared an indefinite strike from the 10th of October. The private sector, as we've been hearing from Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who is a convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, expected to join also media too. How is he taking this?
Well, Evans, I think that the organized labor, for whatever reason, has the progress of the country at heart, and whatever it is, there is some 9 days before whatever internet action takes place. I believe that government will engage them to ensure that we find a way and not to jeopardize the progress that we've made so far in terms of recovery of our economy, whilst we address all other pertinent issues. So let's see how it goes in the next few days.
Do I hear you say that between now and the 10th, they will get a declaration of a state of emergency on this matter of illegal mining, which is what they are asking fundamentally?
I don't think it's just an issue of somebody getting. It is an issue of conversations around what is best for the country and what best works for the country. I think that organized labor has made some specific demands, but government has a responsibility of also leading the state of affairs, and organized labor would definitely also hear government out in terms of what would work in the interest of the states. I don't think that organized labor has in any way said that whatever they are asking for is cast in stone. They may have made some demands, but is that demands what is in the best interest of the state? What are the consequences of each of the demands in there? How does it impact in the forward looking of the country? I mean, we're trying to fix one canker, but in fixing one canker, do you destroy the others? So that by the time you're done fixing this canker, you go back to also look for another solution for this. So these are conversations that I believe that the government is already having with organized labor, and definitely I am confident that there would be some middle ground before the 10th.
Organized Labour has said that they don't want a middle ground on this matter. You either announce a state of emergency, you ban all forms of mining on water bodies or in forest reserves. As they've also asked for, abolish that LI that allows mining in forest reserves, or this is what action they will take. They have actually sat down with the ad hoc committee that was formed on the back of their declared intention to embark on this course of action. And they came out of that saying they were still not satisfied and they were still going to go ahead, which is what has happened. They've passed the point of dialogue and middle ground.
Well, I don't think that in a civil society, in a democratic dispensation like ours, dialogue is ever out of the conversation. Dialogue remains part of the conversation at all times. And I'm sure that organized labor would avail themselves to that in the same way government would also avail themselves to that. I don't think that there is ever the point in a democratic dispensation that dialogue is off. We're running a state. We're running a state that requires that the future and the present of this country is protected at all times. And I believe that there's nothing cast in stone. If everybody decides to be adamant, we cannot have a civil state. And so I believe clearly that government and organized labor would continue the conversations that are ongoing. And I'm very sure, very, very sure that before the 10th, there would be some way around this without necessarily having to shut down this country. The impact of shutting down the country, I don't think is something that organized labor would want. Neither is it something that any other citizen of this country would want. And so we have to find a solution around it.
Talking about solutions, as a vice president, has Dr. Bawumia himself been directly involved in trying to find this solution?
Well, government has been engaging, so I don't know what you mean by directly. Government has been engaging, so I want to understand what you mean by directly.
Directly asking in his capacity of vice president, has he been involved in
having... There's a vice president, there are state institutions, and there are leadership in government. And so whatever action that government takes, the vice president is directly part of it.
Yes, I mean, considering that he stands to lose the most in this particular matter.
It's not just our elections, Evans. I don't think that you are telling us that whatever the organized labor is doing is because there is an election. I think they are doing it from a genuine point of background. They are doing it genuinely because they are concerned about certain things that they believe is working to the detriment of the state. So let's not make it an election matter. The vice president is part of a government. Government is taking action and working with organized labor in dealing with this. The vice president being a candidate doesn't or cannot jump into the fray because he's going for an election. There's not an issue of who loses. The biggest loser in this is the state. If you shut down the country and the country is completely destroyed even before the elections, the vice president losing or winning an election is just an individual loss. But how does it benefit organized labor when the entire country is on its knees? So I don't think we should make this an election matter. Unless, of course, you are telling me that all of these that are going on is because of an election, which I doubt. I think organized labor have raised some genuine concerns, and those are things that must be looked at devoid of partisanship and elections. It is a country and a state matter that we are discussing. I think we should keep our eyes on those critical things.
For instance, the coalition have written directly to him, asking him to sign a pact to end illegal mining. That's why I asked that question. Has he seen that letter to him, and will he sign the pact?
The vice president's commitment towards ending illegal mining is without doubt. He's been in the past 6 months. He's been in the mining areas more than all the other candidates. And his position on illegal mining is very, 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 very clear. He stated it countlessly, and he's raised specific ways that he believes that based on all the efforts we have made and tried since 2010 as a country, what has worked, what hasn't worked. And based on all of these, he's itemized specifically systems, processes, and structures he believes could be another way of we as a country pursuing in ending this illegal mining canker, this criminality. And so he is ready and willing to sign whatever pact, because he's already shown that that commitment in everything he's been doing so far. So that's not a problem at all.
Dr. Ashigbe, music to your ears.
Well, definitely, this is music. But I just want to tell my brother Miracle that there's nothing more at stake than the lives of everybody. And when you get to a situation when there's such desperation, where you are being poisoned, where you have in August. Go back and look at the trends. August, you have, 14,000 NTUs instead of 5 NTU stability. That is the level of the crisis. And I completely agree with you. This has nothing to do with the next election. It has all to do with today's generation and the next generation. So I'm happy that the president is ready, the vice president and then the former president. His statement, I didn't hear him state categorically that. But I'm happy that we're going to get that, because the actions that His Excellency the President would have to take, and to borrow the words of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, will be draconian. But you see, the point about it is that when it comes to the water bodies, that one is a law. There's no ban there. It's just about enforcing the law that we have refused to do, because you stand on the bridges, you can see the chamfans in the water bodies. You see people manufacturing the chamfans, and also it's just about, it is in the forest reserves. And again, in the forest reserves, there's no small-scale miner in there. We're asking that those be revoked, because that's where our waters take their sources for. And Miracle, please, when it comes to our lives, I'm not too sure that, there can be any negotiation about saving us from poisoning, about saving us from renal diseases, so there can be nothing. We cannot put any issue of profit or jobs against people who are dying and people who are doing an illegality. So I'm happy to hear that His Excellency the Vice President is ready to sign this pact and commit himself. And then we would need the former president also committing to that, so that after the 7th, whoever wins would also continue whatever actions that His Excellency the President would have to take now. Because it's going to take us more than 3 months. It's going to take us years to be able to restore this back. And it would mean that all of us as a country, want to be united against one singular purpose of saving ourselves from damnation. And I'm happy to hear that His Excellency the Vice President will do that. And I'm hoping that His Excellency the former President will also do that, so that we can have them on record, not only on something they've written, but their voices, so that we can give them to all of you journalists. So you play it, so that we don't have anybody go and stand in Accra, in Kumasi, in Takrady, and tell us that they agree to the fight, the measures that the President is taking. And then they will go and stand in the pits, and then go and be telling people that they will form WhatsApp groups, or tell people that when they come back, they will let them come and, get back into the illegality. I am really happy, and it's a very important part of what the Media Coalition has asked for, and it's also one of the points that the organized labor has also added to their demands of our two political parties.
And talking about that, we heard from John Dramani Mahama today, and I played that clip when he met the clergy. Did you hear him speak to any of the 6 things you, together with organized labor, put before the government?
So I think he had mentioned the fact that they would deal. There's an adverb that he used with illegal mining.
He said ban new mining.
I didn't hear him speak directly.
So the part that came close was ban new mining leases. And forest
so
reserves.
I didn't hear him talk about the 5 points that the 4 points we had raised, which is the same as organized labor has raised. But maybe you would excuse him, because it depended on the question that he was being asked. So I'm sure if you had the same way Miracle has been able to respond to your question that you asked specifically now, maybe if we get an opportunity where you are asking that question again, maybe we would get a response from you. But it is important that from both parties we get their, unequivocal, support for these draconian measures that would get us people out of the water bodies and also from the forest reserves.
Thank you very much. Yes, Miracles. Yes, Miracles.
I think that, to be very honest with you, let me put this on record, and that's not even to flatter Mr. Kanashwe at all. But the conversations we've been having in the past weeks about Galamsey, I must admit that he's the first person I've heard really make the case for a solution to this canker without necessarily turning the eye to the other side. He's been quite straightforward. He's been quite balanced, and I think that if we should keep the conversation that way, we'll make a lot of progress. Again, it brings me to the point I made earlier, that dialogue can never, ever be out of the conversation, because even some of the demands and some of the things that, for example, organized labor is asking for, one would easily ask a question: how new are some of these things in terms of the country pursuing that cause to fix this illegality? You asked for a ban on small-scale mining. You recall that somewhere in 2018, thereabout, there was a ban on small-scale mining. In fact, there was a ban on small-scale mining for about a year and a half. And so the first question that anybody would ask is, did that solve Galamsey? And if it did, why are we still here? So these are some of the conversations that, even though organized labor have put into their demands, government would have to sit down with them and say, do we really think this is a solution to this? How about we try this? Okay, we're saying that this your proposition could work. Let's work together and implement it. And for me, those are the conversations that would be happening and should be happening in the next few days. I think that we should all keep a very open mind. We should all keep that very balanced mindset that we are trying to fix something that has to do with criminality. People who are working under the cover of darkness, or with sometimes even social protection. And so it is a canker, it is an addiction. Any crime that we can think of can be equaled to Galamsey, even worse, because of the damage that is causing to all of us as a people. But if we keep this kind of open-mindedness and balance in our conversation, like I'm hearing from Mr. Kanachigwe, trust me, we should be able to make some very, very, very quick headway in getting ourselves out of these things. But like I said, a lot of things have been tried since 2010, including systems, strategies by the former president who is speaking now. During his tenure, he tried several ways to fight Galamsey. He could not succeed. We've also tried several ways since 2017, and we are still here. Shall we all put politics and partisanship aside, sit down around the table and say, what are the other ways we can use to fight this? If we think you are making a proposition that has been tried before, shall we just go and look into the books and see how that worked and how it didn't work, so that we can take it out and move to the new ways of dealing with this matter? I think that is how we should sincerely look at this conversation. But Galamsey is a crime, just like armed robbery. Even though there is a police everywhere in this country, you still have robbery happening. And so we need to find ways to really deal with this matter without making it a political issue.
Thank you, Miracles. Grateful that you join us. Dr. Kenachigbe, I'm grateful too. And if you're just joining us, that major decision announced by organized labor is what is dominating the headlines tonight. They've declared an indefinite nationwide strike in 9 days, starting on the 10th of October. And in fact, it will include the private sector too, because as you've heard there, the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, they are mobilizing their own sector. He himself is the chief executive of the Telecoms Chamber. He says from the 10th, once the chamber will take a decision, they will lock up their offices. And so when you get there, you don't expect to see that office open because they will be on strike. He expects you to be on strike too. And how the GJ implements that, it says, will be decided and communicated in due course. We're still listening to Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take you now to the Electoral Commission, where something really significant happened today.
Indeed, Evans, the opposition National Democratic Congress is left standing alone, with only the Progressive People's Party backing its calls for a forensic audit of the voters' register and IT systems of the Electoral Commission. 8 registered political parties, including the governing MPP, have all been given thumbs up to the EC after it announced measures it has taken to resolve discrepancies in the voters' register ahead of the crucial 2024 election. It will be recalled that following the admission by the EC that its officers had allegedly illegally transferred votes in Pusiga, the NDC claimed to have identified even more discrepancies to anchor their demand for a forensic audit. In a historic IPAC meeting broadcast live today, Evans, the EC announced raft measures it has taken to clean up the register. Let's listen to Dr. Yawo Foreje of the EC's IC department announce how it fixed some of the challenges identified with the register.
In our minds, we can't see how you can delete somebody by transferring them, because transfers are allowed. So you can't delete somebody by transferring them. I also like to say that the way the voter management system is designed, and indeed ABIS, once you get registered onto the system, we went on further and looked at the transaction history of the particular voter within our database. By 2020, at 10:19 a.m., at the True Vine Preparatory School, JHS, near Boyman, with polling station number C150704. This gentleman, on the 22nd of October 2020, at 4:35 p.m., registered for special voting and was moved to the Achimota College Police Station, C1502 SPS. That is a special polling station that he registered for. They also gave us 5 voter IDs that they claim had been deleted from the register. So fortunately, the voter IDs were there, so we could search for them. So that's exactly what we did. We searched for them. And so these are the alleged voter IDs. These people, we don't have a record of them having been transferred. And you know why we don't have a record of them having ever been transferred? Because in order for you to be transferred, you have to be a valid voter. If you are not a valid voter, remember the processes that I described to you. You have to go to the polling, to the registration center, be verified biometrically before the transfer can occur. If you don't do that, the transfer doesn't occur. Okay? Now, these individuals that they listed as having been deleted by transfer, there's no record of a transfer for them. What we found out was that these individuals had corrupt biometrics, so they were never in the register in the first place. And therefore, how do they get transferred? About 15,000 unidentified transfer paths. Once again, we are not clear what is meant by an unidentified transfer path, because all the transfers are documented. It's not the Commission's business to understand why somebody wants to transfer their vote, for so long as they are doing it in the proper way. So we do not understand what is meant by unidentified transfer path.
Well, Kweku Asante of our political desk sat through this historic IPAC meeting and joins us in the studio with more. Kweku, the EC admitted that indeed some of the concerns raised by the NDC is actually legitimate. Tell us more about that.
So there are two main ones that the EC is admitting that, listen, these are very germane issues that the NDC actually brought to their attention that they fixed. The first one has to do with Pusiga. The Electoral Commission has assured that that has been fixed, and in fact it is taking certain decisions with its entire system to ensure that it does not recur. In fact, Dr. Yaweji admits that once it happened in Pusiga, it's very possible it will happen somewhere, and so they are trying to fix that. There's a second decision, the second one having to do with missing persons on the register, persons who are holding ID cards but whose names are not on the register. The EC says they are trying to reach these persons and include them back into the register. But for those they are unable to actually reach by 7 December, they're actually going to create a missing list so that when you go to the polling station and you check the register and your name is not there, they can check the missing list and you'll be there. Dr. Yaweji again.
Transfers that occurred at Pusiga. These were reported to us by the regional director that 38 voters had been illegally transferred from Pusiga. And as I have said, this occurred because the Electoral Commission's own staff took advantage of a vulnerability that was in the system. And that vulnerability was the absence of a liveliness check. And so him, as the narrative goes, in collusion with some other people, used the voter ID card, the picture on the voter ID card, to verify the individuals and do a transfer. We've also now implemented the liveliness check on our voter verification devices, our biometric verification. You can't take somebody's picture, use the BVD to do verification, because now that is firmly built into the BVD as well. So we have plugged that hole. Subsequent to that, all those transfers that have been done have been reversed. So all those transfers that were done illegally have been reversed, and the perpetrators have been dismissed by the commission, and the police continues their investigation into the matter. We have not taken this matter lightly, and so we have not taken this matter lightly at all. Because once again, if it's happened somewhere, it is possible that it has happened elsewhere. And therefore, we've engaged our service providers and we are developing tools once again that will go through the system thoroughly.
Well, you have it, the EC admitting that some of the concerns raised by the NDC is actually legitimate. Kweku, the political parties, they officially announced their positions today at that meeting. Tell us.
So there were about 12 registered political parties at this meeting today. In fact, there are about 12 registered political parties today at this meeting, and 10 of them actually officially spoke. We now know that officially 8 registered political parties are against the NDC's call for a forensic audit. Let me run through these political parties. There is the NDP, there is the Ghana Union Movement, there is CPP, there is GFP, that is a Kwiadonko, there is the PNC, there is APC, there is NPP, there is LPG. All these 8 political parties are against the NDC's call for a forensic audit. Let's listen to some of them, in particular those who actually spoke at this event and vented out their spleen against the NDC's position: PNC, APC, CPP, and the NDP.
There's no problem asking for a forensic audit. But the problem here is that we are only holding a provisional voter register. And that allows for correction, and allows for updates, and that allow us to make suggestions like we are doing now until we get to the final register. It is when we have the final register, then we have problems with it. Of course, we will all agree that, yes, we will not go to the election until these problems are resolved. Whether it's coming from the NDC, it's coming from the MPP, it's coming from the APC or any other party. Because we are all part of this game called elections. And we must admit that listening to them today, I'm convinced that they are doing their best. And I'm also convinced that the NDC is convinced that listening to them today, there have been new changes and new development from where it was until today.
Is there any law that makes it illegal for the independent audit to be made? If there is none, then my submission is that I feel that an independent audit will rather boost the credibility and image of the voter register. Because just imagine if an independent auditor comes and says, well, the register is 100% clean. That one, it is not the EC saying it. Because what Dr. Ufori said, the presentation is nice, but it is the EC speaking. So now that there are issues of mistrust and all that has happened, if an independent person comes and confirms that it is clean, I think it will boost the credibility and the trust that we all have. So that is a comment I want you to consider as well.
Madam Chair, and your deputies, I think if I walk out, I will now walk out with broad chest and say the EC has opened for transparency. I know our brothers from the MPP and NDC will also speak to their issues. But this engagement alone will really bring confidence to the institution. Will really show that you and your team has agreed to over 30 million calls. Those, if you have done this meeting without television, without radio, Ghanaians wouldn't have known whether who's speaking the truth and who's not speaking the truth. I therefore, on behalf of my party, we are very grateful for this opportunity given to us.
We all got very alarmed when we heard the NDC coming out with all these figures. And the figures, in our view, were so huge. But quickly, we realized that the CI already has a self-cleansing mechanism embedded in it. And that mechanism, when you go through the mechanism, you realize that it becomes then very difficult that errors will not be corrected at the provisional stage. So after the giving out of the register at the exhibition, we assume that all these errors are supposed to be corrected. And when you go through the proceedings from CI 25 to 27, it is explicit there how these errors can be detected and corrected. I must also admit the frankness of the EC. Where you got it wrong, you admitted that you were wrong, and you did your checks and you have corrected it. This is what we want to see. As major stakeholders, we are happy.
Quickly, let's talk about Kwiadonko. She backed the EC, but caused a bit of a stir today. Tell us more about that.
Well, yes, Kwiadonko really did steal the show today. She spoke first in the local language, and we've translated it in what we're about to play. She actually accused the NDC of lying to tarnish the reputation of Madam Jane Mensah.
Fidia man for Sumono. And this is for the papa. Now, so over the court, but I know about trading. And the court, there's one money we are saying, can't almost. Nina Chido, yes, I bet trading. Me, I'm a see where I make a say. Easy can say. Will be a funny nipper. I met now a table no, but be a trading will be a funny nipper. Now, you say, a bachelor will be anti me, I can't answer. Maybe the nipper coy. Baby, I was with the nipper coy. Nina actually, I didn't come up. What the book are, ya the challenge in that can't hold the play can't hold. So be a 1 year if you don't watch it, ya will be a 1 year gonna and then I'm a pesa.
We thank God that since she became the EC chair, the NDC has continuously challenged her, even setting traps and taking her to court when the commission was about to begin the voter registration exercise. Yet, they were disgraced. Despite all of this, the EC invited everyone to send representatives to the most recent registration, and I did. Everything went smoothly. So why do you keep harassing her?
When you say I'm in a when you go for a we are Daimobwa. We are Daimobwa, a bumpire saying I'm going to Santanachi, Quam Biaso, 1 year finty, where you are Basonco, where you need Pasonco, me Boabaso, Pro, I isn't a penny for no penny, what a bomb basso. I don't know what it is, sir. Many men can't interview. What's it? Any fact you don't want to say, yeah, you will, and then more years a baby. A mobwa. I don't know what time to us, sir. What's what baby I don't know. I don't know what is that.
Don't you realize it is God who placed her in that position? No matter what you do, you will not succeed. I pray for her to remain strong and resolute. I commend the entire EC team. Those claiming names are missing are lying. Why are you doing this? Well, Kweku, you're still in the studio. Quite an interesting sound we heard from Ikiadonko. Before the IPAC meeting ended, though, the EC boss was clear that the EC had nothing to hide.
Well, yeah, before we hear from Madam Jean Mensah, listen to Dr. Adoda Maniboama, who first, of course, actually accept that the Electoral Commission has done some good work around the register, but again, they want to see more done.
We are here looking at the evidence that we presented. And we are glad that the EC has accepted 3 out of 5. And where they don't even accept, they try to explain. And that is one of the reasons it is not strategic to provide the Electoral Commission with a full gamut of what we have. And I will explain. And Esofori, the day at the EC corporate office, why were we not told that Esofori had effected a transfer and all the details that we are being given? There is the need for a forensic audit of not just the register, which is being fixed. Why not? And I commend the EC. The EC says that after they have fixed all, and I thought per the submissions of the EC on air, we have heard several times, they had already corrected all the things. Go online. You find that the NDC issues have been fixed. But we do admit, we don't want to be linguistic purists. We do admit that maybe it was an exaggeration. As they fix them, they have promised to provide the updated version. We came here with a hard drive. If the updated version is already, why not? We will pick it and still analyze, take it through the very analysis that we did.
Well, Dr. Maniboama again is now, they are broadening the scope of the demand they are making of this. They've been making this, but they've been reiterating this at this IPAC meeting. Not only do they want a forensic audit of the voters register, they want the EC's entire IT system to be audited, because they say that if you fix the challenges like the EC is doing now and there's still a corrupt IT system, by the time it's November or close to election, these same challenges can recur.
When your roof is leaking, you can decide to mop, keep mopping, and keep mopping. Or you can decide to fix the leakage and mop. What we see here is mopping and mopping and mopping. Fixing the leakage is missing. And this is at the heart of our altruistic demand for a forensic audit. This forensic audit is not just about the register. When you have fixed the register as a result of our revelations, some aftermath fixing is providing a semblance of we are fixing it. When you fix it, and we all look at the hard copies, and we are all giving the PVR, the soft copies. In November, if the very criminals that got us here are still there, engaged in illegal transfers, we will come back to square one. And that time, it will be too close to the December 7 elections. We need to adopt a dichotomous approach. Look at the register, fix the issues in there, and also audit the very IT systems that allowed these anomalies to occur.
Well, finally, the EC now says all subsequent IPAC meeting will be broadcast live, and that's good for us, isn't it?
Well, yes, in fact, today, the first time cameras were allowed into this room, IPAC meeting, we got to know the kind of conversations that goes on in there. Madam Jean Mensah is assuring that between now and the election, and even beyond, they are going to make sure that all such meetings, IPAC and other crucial meetings that the Electoral Commission will be holding, is going to be beamed live to the entire nation to watch, because they are very much interested in transparency.
As part of the Commission's efforts to ensure transparency and accountability in all its processes, we have decided that this meeting and all subsequent IPAC meetings will be covered by the media. It is important to note at the very onset of today's meeting that we have made significant progress towards cleaning the provisional voters register and ridding it of discrepancies since it was first exhibited in all 40,000 plus exhibition centers across the country. Over the last few weeks, the Commission has employed tried and tested legal and administrative processes to clean the provisional register and rid it of discrepancies as envisaged by the framers of the 1992 Constitution and CI 91 as amended by CI 126.
Chairperson of the Electoral Commission there, Madam Jean Mensah. I'll be hearing from the NDC pretty shortly. We'll also hear from civil society groups represented today now that they've had the Electoral Commission's evidence of what they've done to try and deal with the challenges with the register. Are they happy with what they've had, considering that 8 of the 10 political parties represented today all backed the Electoral Commission's position, leaving the NDC and the PPP standing alone on this particular subject? We'll hear your thoughts after business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, government begins rolling out measures seeking to compensate farmers and the general public affected by the recent dry spell that hit parts of the country. An energy expert, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, describes recent appraisal works on the Afina well as a major turnaround for Ghana's oil industry. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery Center Thanks and President Herbal and Charcoal.
The other day, I visited Kweku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Yeah. We have a new leader in town. OBRNT. Amanfo. Madam was Sibibri. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Luxurious, affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Courts is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofaline Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257-960-919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
This October, come and encounter Jesus in a way you've never experienced before. The Maker's House Chapel International presents Experience Conference 2024 under the theme Jesus. From 6th to 13th October, join us for a week of divine connection and spiritual renewal. Be transformed by powerful ministrations from anointed men of God, Pastor Jonathan Miller, Reverend Eastwood Anaba, Dr. Dion Bias, and your host, Dr. Michael Brady Nyamiche. The venue is the Destiny Arena of the Maker's House Chapel International, Atomic Atchison School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences. Weekday services start 6:30 p.m. and weekends 8 a.m. Experience Conference 2024. Don't just hear about it, be a part of it. Experience Jesus.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Welcome and non fufua. A dial star 712 hash and found no regrets. A side comma investors are a striking gold. A comma health workers are a diagnosing luck with precision. A side comma that tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. Say a comma passionate fan or no so entering containing a joy. Afraid to the stressor or turning hard end stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, a comma if you say your next big win is right here.
Dial star 712 hash and join the luckiest winning celebration. From the 1st of July 2024, dial star 712 hash to keep buying tickets as a group, individual, or even as a community. Win loads of cash and prizes in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Join the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere, for everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government has started rolling out a series of measures seeking to compensate farmers affected by the recent dry spell that hit parts of the country. Now, some of them include farm inputs, credit system, and an effective grain supply system. In the coming days, there'll be rollout for these farmers as well as food grant support. The Agri Minister, Dr. Brian Champon, disclosed this during a media engagement earlier today.
To restore our food system and bridge the grain loss gap, we have this morning commenced the distribution of 118,000 metric tons of fertilizers and 5,133 metric tons of seeds to 800,000 smallholder farmers nationwide. The idea is to supply these inputs to farmers in the southern sector and the northern sector because the raining season or the planting season for the southern sector just about started. 10th of October 2024, working through various poultry farmer associations nationwide, poultry farmers will be supported with feed and vaccines.
Agri Minister Dr. Brian Champon. Now, energy expert Dr. Yusuf Suleiman has described fresh works being carried out on the Afina oil well as a major turnaround for the country's oil industry. Exploration firm Springfield has announced that it will commence appraisal works on the Afina well around the Sankofa oil area. Now, Dr. Suleiman says that this initiative by Springfield could aid in fresh commercial oil production from that field in the coming months.
I think that is hugely several perspectives. I mean, for Ghana as a whole, for Springfield as a company, and even for ENI, unitization is a difficult thing, and you can't solve it within a twinkle of an eye. It requires credible data, and we should encourage Springfield to undergo such an exercise because, assuming the two fields are actually, not communicating, first of all, it will give ENI the opportunity to have peace of mind to go about their business. Since 2017, ENI has not done any investment, and the reason being that they were not sure of what's going on, whether the field belongs to them or at the end of the day, whether it doesn't belong to them.
Energy expert Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. Now, mining expert and chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress Manifesto Committee on Mining, Dr. Tony Obeng, has expressed confidence that Ghana could get more benefits from natural resources. Now, speaking at the Civil Society Organization meeting with political parties on energy and the extractive sector, Dr. Obeng suggested that the current system is outmoded, hence the need for a review.
There are occurrences of minerals around us, which is also, I don't know whether it's a curse or it's a blessing, but we don't know the relative quantities, relative locations, and as a country we need to know. It is with that we can actually negotiate better deals for concessioning these resources. So we need to even map them. In the manifesto, I think there's a team actively working on implementation plan already, as Kwame said. And so the specifics are there. I know some of the draft, we put specifics there, but we're taking out because that should be part of implementation plan.
Mining expert and chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress Manifesto Committee on Mining, Dr. Tony Obeng. Australia's High Commissioner to Ghana, Bernice Owen-Jones, has underscored the importance of security for mining companies operating in Ghana to prevent extremists from invading their areas. She believes that this is one of the surest measures to deal with the challenges facing the sector in the country. She made the call at the opening ceremony of the West African Mining Security Conference held in Accra today.
The West Africa Mining Security Conference is taking place today. It's the 4th edition. It's hosted by the Australian High Commission. It is now, I would say, an international conference, and it provides a forum to share best security practices and contingency planning.
Australia's High Commissioner to Ghana, Bernice Owen-Jones. Now, Petrosol Ghana has reiterated its commitment to ensure the delivery of quality petroleum products to consumers. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive of Petrosol, Michael Bosenbo, noted that the company will continue to deliver quality products and services to its consumers. He spoke to other Petrosol Ghana Energizing Dreams promotion, which is aimed at resolving or rewarding patrons of amazing prices after the purchase of fuel products from the 1st of October to the 1st of March 2025.
as we celebrate our 10th anniversary, we thought that it is important that we appreciate our customers. We show gratitude. And so this promo is intended to energize our customers. We are saying energize because we know that we are in a very challenging time because of high cost of living. And so this is the time as a brand that we too should get close to our customers and support them.
Michael Bothambel is the chief executive of Petrosol Ghana. And George, thank you very much. And Mr. Cranton is here with sports.
Let's go straight into the stories. And the Confederation of African Football is expected to make a decision on the eligibility of the Accra and Cape Coast Stadia in the coming days ahead of next week's AFCON qualifier against Sudan. Ghana looks set to host Sudan away from home after CAF had earlier withdrawn approval from the Baba Yara Stadium, leaving Ghana without a single standard stadium to host Category C games. However, CAF inspectors were in Ghana over the weekend to inspect both the Accra and Cape Coast Stadia at the request of the Sports Ministry, and Joy Sports sources confirmed the game will now be hosted in Ghana. Away from that, there will be UEFA Champions League Match Day 2 live commentary on Hits 103.9 FM from 7 p.m. Featured game is between Arsenal and PSG. Thomas Partey starts that game for Arsenal. That's all for sports. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much, Cranting, for that. And we've been talking a lot today about the Electoral Commission's meeting with the political parties at IPAC, the historic meeting that allowed for live coverage. As we know, the NDC today sat through the presentation by the Electoral Commission. They presented their evidence. I want to bring in Tanko Rashid Computer. He is the Deputy Director of Elections with the party. He joins us on the line right now. Tell me, you've seen the evidence provided by the Electoral Commission today as to what they've done to fix the issues with the register. What next for the NDC, though?
Very well. Let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. We would be issuing a statement any moment from now about our next line of action. It won't be long. You would have the statement. But to just put it bluntly, we stand vindicated after the presentation by the Electoral Commission IT director or consultant, they want to call him, for having admitted to almost all the grievances that we got from the provisional register. And clearly, they demonstrated that all that they have done clearly was based on what the NDC has been talking about, and that they have taken time to correct that. And because of that, they are going to do what is called a re-exhibition. Of course, we asked of that. We talked about the re-exhibition of the register. We've also talked about the issue of their IT system, of which today they also agree that their IT system is vulnerable and is susceptible to all manner of attack from within and without. And so all these things put together will say that the NDC stands vindicated, and we will follow up with the provisional register as they indicated will be given to political parties.
So you're happy?
We are not saying we are happy. The issue is that we want the right thing to be done, and that we are saying that all that they have done until we get hold of the supposed new revised provisional register, for us to restudy it and be sure that whatever they are saying in there, that's one leg of it. The second leg is the IT system, of which we will pursue an agenda of investigation to find out the root cause of all that problems, which the IT director admitted.
Okay, and we've heard that today. We're waiting for that statement from the NDC. Dr. Tanko Rashid, thank you very much. And Fosti, the National Science and Maths Quiz is back.
Indeed, it is back, and 157 schools are gearing up to battle it out for academic glory at the 31st edition of the National Science and Maths Quiz Competition, Evans, as it heads to the Central Region for the first time. Well, speaking at the launch, Managing Director of Primetime Limited, Nanakia Mensah, revealed that this year's contest has the highest number of participating schools ever, making it a fine brain fest of epic proportions.
That we've ever had at the National Championship.
Wow.
157 schools at the National Championship. That's a whole lot. That's a lot. Accra Girls has qualified this time. They haven't been at the National Championships for a while, maybe about 8 years or something like that. And Fantiman also is back.
Fantiman is back. St. Thomas Aquinas is back. St. Rose's is back. You went to St. Rose's, did you know that, Dobia? Fostina is with me. Fostina, which school is it?
Government Day Secondary School.
What?
Government Day Secondary School.
What? Government Day Secondary School.
Yes.
Where's that?
That's in Abuja, Nigeria.
Oh, you're making this up.
No. I'm actually serious.
Government Day Secondary School.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that one of the good schools or so?
Well, it's Saito, but we had 5 brains
Saito
there.
in Nigeria. Oh my goodness. Arivia is joining us right now with Geek Squad. What are you talking about tonight?
Well, tonight, in this day and age, we see a lot happening on social media. We want to check how we can verify some of the information that we see, because a lot of things are misleading and misinforming. So we are going to see how we can combat that. And it's also the month of October, and it's Cyber Security Awareness Month. And so we want to use this opportunity just to let our listeners be educated to know how they can just verify information that they see online.
And we want to stay with the Behind the Team on behalf of the